break or I'ma have a flashback. Digging through the dresser like fuck it, where my mask at? The mash back with the banger and damage shit. And say fuck everything I learned in anger management. Hop back on some east side banning shit. And push a nigga's top back when I let the cannon spit. Start planning shit, premeditation. I'm in love with the streets again, rededication.
What's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to Life. And I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down!
Yard down!
So you already know what it is today, man. I got the one, the only Banky Pound in the house, man. Banky Pound, do me a favor, man, for my viewers who may not know who you are. Introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Everybody who rock with 16 to Life, I appreciate y'all having me. My name is Banky Pound. I'm from DC. I ended up over across the bridge in Virginia and got incarcerated in 1987. I was sentenced to 2 life sentences, 115 years. I ended up doing 33 years straight in prison. I went in 1987. I came out in 2020. I've currently been out for approximately a year and a half, a little bit more of a year and a half, and started doing YouTube unexpectedly. Knew nothing about no YouTube. Got out, got introduced to YouTube. Did a couple of videos on another channel. They ended up going viral. Ended up starting my own YouTube, you know, trying to do some juvenile prevention. Trying to tell these stories, do a little prison cooking. You know, I chef it up a little bit. And it just became a thing now where I do this on a regular basis. I have my own channel, Banky Pound YouTube channel. I tell prison stories. Like I say, I cook. I try to give out good, positive wisdom, advice that I've accumulated over 33 years in prison. And recently I've been meeting a couple of more people with the YouTube, like this good brother right here. You know, someone put it in his ear about me. I kept getting put in my ear about him. You know, he made the big boy step and reached out to me. And I went and looked at all this stuff and I reached back out to him. We've been, you know, chopping it up ever since. And now he done made the big old trek to come down here, so I salute him. And I appreciate you having me, bro.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. I appreciate you having me. And let me ask you a question, man. So you said then you got sentenced to 2 life sentences and 115 years. How old was you at the time?
I was 19 by the time I actually hit the prison. I was 20 years old.
So when the judge gave you all that time, man, if you can kind of remember, what was going through your mind, man, when he said 2 life sentences and all this other type of stuff? How did you
I couldn't even process it, bro. I couldn't even process that. You know, then like I say, I was lied to. You know, my lawyer told me when I got the time that, you know, don't worry about it, man, because you know, you've never been locked up before. You don't have a criminal record. You gonna go up for parole in like 12 years and you probably gonna make it. Just keep your nose clean and everything gonna be all right. Now, knowing what I know and I'm sure you know right now, that's a bunch of bull.
Right.
But at the time, you, like I say, in your mind, when you want to believe something, you believe something.
Right.
I wanted to believe that. That was so far from the truth, I can't even explain it. But in my mind still though, you know, at that age and never being locked up, you talking about 12 years.
Right.
You know, I'm thinking 12 years, man, I'd be like 30, 32 years old. Right. You know what I'm saying?
When you're 20, 30 years old.
Yeah, 30-some years old. Then, ironically, I'm worrying about being 30-some years old, and ironically, I do 30-some years.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Which is just crazy, man.
So listen, you know, okay, so you went to prison in what year?
1987.
In 87, okay. And for those of y'all who may not know or didn't hear, he's from Virginia, so it's a different prison system, man. And by watching some of your stories, it was ruthless up in there, man.
Oh, man. When I first went in, man, it was when I first went in, man, it was really crazy for real. You know, like I say, I learned quick. I seen fast what was going on. It's more or less was like things you see on TV, man, that you didn't really believe existed. But then you just thrown right into that world. You right in there with it. So soon as I got into the system, man, all I seen was a lot of knife play. Man, a lot of dudes getting savage, man, getting stabbed and chopped up. So I just made it up in my mind that, you know, I probably ain't gonna get out. You know what I'm saying? Somebody probably gonna kill me, or they gonna make me kill them. Those was like my only two options, but I couldn't conceive at that time that I could do 12 years of this type of life. You know what I'm saying? Because coming from the streets, you know, and I grew up, like I say, in the city, you know what I'm saying, and down here, both, you know, back and forth. But, you know, when things going on out here is different from in that confined space.
Right.
When you in that small amount of space and you got all of this chaos going on and there's nowhere to go, you can't go to another neighborhood. You can't, you know, move to another part of town or move to another city.
Nowhere to run.
No, it's right there, man. So you either got to deal with it or it's going to deal with you. And once I got in and I seen how it was, that's just how I set my course, man. That, okay, that's what it is. You know, it's going down, it's just going down.
And that was going to be my next question. You know, I got sentenced to 16 years plus life. And to be honest, by the time I got sentenced at that time, I'd been in the streets 5-6 years, you know, heavy. A whole lot that had transpired with me in the streets. So I had adapted a certain type of attitude and mentality, like prison is an extension of the streets. Were you in deep into the streets by the time you
I really wasn't, man. To be honest with you, I really wasn't, man. I was trying to box, you know, and I got sidetracked. I fell for the okie doke, you know what I'm saying? That's when I got in the street, but mine ain't last long. I may have been dibbing and dabbing in the streets probably like 2 years, you know, if that, you know, and it just so happened that when it all came crashing down on me, it just all came crashing down. But like I say, I was a good athlete. I played football real good and I boxed, and those were, you know, my decisions right there, whether I'm gonna do one or the other, you know, which turns out I made the worst choice ever. I chose to be dipping and dabbing in the streets, you know. Had I chose another one of them courses, you know, in life, then my whole life would be different. But here it is now, I chose the wrong path, and I'm sitting here telling you about 33 years of prison stories. You know, lucky to be alive, lucky to have endured it, lucky to have come through it. You know, I'm lucky to be even talking to you because of what I had to go through, all because I made the wrong decision. You know, so it won't like I was like grew up and I'm like in the streets. Like I say, where I was from, we didn't even have gangs and stuff like that. You could be in the streets, but 9 times out of 10 you could be solo.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, doing your own thing, or you might got a partner or whatever. But nah, it wasn't like that. Well, I was just always out there, man. I just made some bad choices, some critical bad choices.
Right.
And yeah, and down here they don't play.
And you know, for me, so like I say, due to my street mentality, going to prison, it was easier for me to accept prison because I felt that this was an extension of the street, and I gotta do what I gotta do to survive, you know. And I was also blessed with a happy-go-lucky personality. But so how was you able to deal with that, man, when you first got up in there and saw your first act of major violence? Like, I mean, did you like decide right then and there, man, I gotta live a certain way to survive, or you know, I mean.
Well, it's like, well, the DC portion that I grew up in, that was violent, period. Yeah, I seen dudes before I went in. I had seen dudes get killed. I seen dudes get savaged. I mean, right there in front of my house. I seen dudes get hit in the head with hatchets, chopped up with hammers, beat down with hammers, stabbed with machetes, all of that. I had already seen that. But you know, like I know, it's different than seeing something from a distance,
right,
than seeing it up close and personal.
Right.
When you can watch from out your window of your house and see things like this happening is much different than you standing right there and it's happening right there. And then you know that you could possibly be involved in this tomorrow. See, the difference in the street is if you watch somebody having that type of altercation, you may not even know who they are.
Right.
You may not even, you know what I'm saying, ever speak to them or be around them again. But the difference is in prison, when you watch somebody having that altercation, you know that you're in this environment, right, and it could be you tomorrow. On the streets, it could be somebody that's involved in drugs. It could be somebody that's involved in something illegal. And this is what caused this conflict. In prison, it could be just a conflict, right, you know, because I bumped into you or you bumped into me or we had words. So that's different. So when you know that these things can actually possibly happen to you, then that changed my mindset.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I got a question. Okay, so in the California prison system, it all depends on the penitentiary and it all depends on the time. But at the time you came in, when somebody might get their head busted or get stabbed, what would be the procedure and the protocol? Would they just remove that dude and then normal program y'all back to? Would they lock y'all down?
Yeah, they lock us down, but like you said, they had different prisons. See, like when I first came in, it was different. When I first came in, I went through receiving, and I told this story like on my page and stuff too. Like when I went through receiving, I ended up getting a little altercation in receiving, just a little scuffle. You know what I'm saying? So they cut my time short from receiving and put me straight in the worst prison they had in Virginia at the time.
You think it was because of that scuffle?
I think it was because of the scuffle, and it was because of some racism too. Because like I say, the dude I got the scuffle with was an Italian. Okay. You know, and from my understanding, his parents them had a little money or whatever, and they was making a lot of noise up front. You know what I'm saying? Because he got the mitts put on.
So what prison did they send you to?
They sent me to 500 Spring Street, which anybody from Virginia would tell you is nicknamed the Wall, because it had a great big wall like you see in the prisons, movies and stuff. Like if you ever see the movie called like Runaway Train or
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption. They had a wall just like that.
Right. Okay.
So that's why they call it the Wall. And this prison right here, man, you got to go at it to survive, because it wasn't no such thing as coming in there, minding your business, coming in there just trying to get through. Nah, the drama coming to you. It's coming to you. You just going to deal with it, point blank and frank. And once I got in there, like I said, I seen a dude get killed within the first week.
Wow. Within
the first week, and he got hit like, man, multiple times, probably 20 sometimes.
So do you have any recollection on what it was about?
I didn't know what it was about, but I remember how it jumped off. You know, I was on the phone with my mom, and it was a big dude too. I mean, he was decent, but he had long dreads. You know, they ended up making us cut our hair there in Virginia decades later, but they had long dreads. One time you had dudes, they wolfed out, dreaded out, all of that. So he had long dreads, and he had his shirt off and some jeans, and he was diesel. He was just pacing like something was on his mind. And then the next thing you know, man, he came past this dude. I don't know if this was the dude he was beefing with or whatever, but when he pulled up on him this time, he reached down and pulled out, man, and just started hitting him everywhere. Bang, bang. I mean, drove him all the way to the ground, and he just savaged him, man. And then he just got up off of him, tucked the joint, and kept on pacing. And the thing that I remembered in my mind was that, first of all, I was shocked, you know what I'm saying? And I'm on the phone with my mom, and I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on around me. And I'm super shocked at this. And I was like, man, this is crazy. But no one, not an officer, no one came to his aid, man. No one came to save him. No one came to check on him. No one came to see if he was breathing. He just laid there, man. And I saw the pool of blood around him just spreading out wider and wider. And people was actually walking around the blood. And I'm like, oh, nah, this Jones serious. And that prompted me to get my first night.
Right.
Because, I was like, oh, no, this can't happen to me.
So, and you said, okay, especially when you first came to prison, there wasn't no gang. So how did that process all happen to take place? You pull up in prison, maybe some dudes who was from your particular area, they would take you in and embrace you, or
like when you on the compound, most of the time wherever you from, you tell somebody where you from, they might, man, where you from, y'all? You know, if you say where you from, normally dudes from that area, they gonna know somebody you know, or they gonna say, oh yeah, oh he from Richmond, oh yeah, look, and they start kicking it with you, or who your peoples is, you know what I'm saying? My people chill, you know, oh okay, I know you. People like that, they might take you under your wing.
Right.
Like I'm saying I'm from DC, it's like, that's like the smallest group in there.
Right.
Because that's not even, DC is not even Virginia. So, actuality, I'm a foreigner. So it's gonna be like, whatever compound I go on, it's gonna be the least amount of people from DC there than anybody else. But I also had a whole lot of ties to Virginia, but just a certain area of Virginia. Right. So dudes used to see me a lot, you know what I'm saying, like on summer times and stuff like that. So I might have run across a few dudes that knew me, you know, from me coming in here for multiple summers, and then they done got in trouble and they locked up. Oh, yo, that's Bank. You know what I'm saying? Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, he used to come in like that. So I knew I had some Virginia ties, but normally I was always labeled like from DC.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you this: if a dude, for instance, from California or maybe Alabama, who didn't have no ties, didn't have no friends out there, you know, because I get asked this question a lot: would a non-affiliate be able to survive out there in the California prison? So how would a dude like that fare out here? I mean, would people mess with him and bother him eventually, or
he gonna have to be a savage? Straight like that. He gonna have to be a savage. And see, that's the funny part about it. Not really funny, ain't the right word. That's the crazy part about it. Because, say for instance, if he is from Cali or he from New York or he from Alabama, he had a few many New York dudes from down here. Because the New York dudes like to come to Virginia and hustle,
right?
And then they get clapped, and then they're in the system. So you had quite a few of them in here. But let's just say he from a foreign joint, like around LA, right?
Right.
And he gonna have to put some work in, man. Because dudes gonna try him. They gonna come at him sideways. They gonna come in with some game. They might try to con if he got some money, or they really coming at him.
Let me ask you a quick question: are they gonna hate on him just because he's from California? They dislike California, or are they just gonna try him because he's
just because he's
himself?
foreign. It ain't gonna have nothing to do with California. Because see, that's the crazy part about prison too. How you gonna hate somebody because they from Cali or Alabama when you ain't never been to Cali or Alabama?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You
right.
can't hate nobody. You don't even know nobody from there. They just do it because they think he green or
right.
they think he in a foreign land.
Right.
So they like, oh yeah, we gonna see how slick this cat is, or we gonna see how much we can play on him. They might run at him with some game, some con artist stuff. Yeah, plenty of con artists down here. They come at you with all, man, they got some flim artists down this joint. I mean, they coming at you sleight of hand and all types of stuff.
Yeah.
So he would have had to been on his P's and Q's, and like I say, he probably would have had to draw a little blood. And once he draw a little blood, and depending upon who he drew it from, then dudes would probably know, like, okay, this dude ain't playing. You know what I'm saying? Right. I can recall dudes from different places that end up coming down here, had little reputations, put some work in. I've seen dudes from Mississippi. I see dudes from St. Louis, Kansas City. Different places, and they put that work in.
So when you first came, because by the time I got to prison in California was in 1996, the weights was pretty much gone. When you came, did they still have weights and all that type of stuff?
Man, when I came in, they had some Bamas. They was eating weights. When I came in, man, they had Bamas. They was eating weights, man. I'm talking about dudes. It was unreal looking big, man. For not to be on any type of supplements and steroids, or I'm talking about naturally, man. They had some monsters, man. I'm talking about monsters. I remember when I first, let me see, Augusta. So you talking about 70, 89, probably 89, 90. I'm on Augusta. I can remember walking out on the yard. Like, I've been out there a couple of times, but I can remember walking out there like after about my 4th or 5th day there, and I was getting ready to go outside and jog. And I can remember coming out there, man, and I seen this white boy, man, coming from the far end of the yard. The yard long as I-95. He coming from the far end of the yard. And this dude was walking, man. This is before you had to cut your hair and everything. So he got long hair all the way down to his waist. He got a pair of Levi jeans, no shoes and no shirt. And I'm telling you, man, this dude looked like Conan the Barbarian walking across this joint. Right. And I can just remember looking, I'm like, is this a silhouette? Is this Bama this big for real? And I remember just staying there just to see when he got up close. It's massive. I remember his name this day. His name was Zeke. And he looked, that man was just as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, okay, and you brought up a good well, you mentioned something that brought something to my mind. Now in California, you have a lot of the white guys. They're band together and stuff. How's that out here? Do they have like
They don't stand a chance, man. They ain't stand a chance out here, bro.
Uh-huh.
They ain't stand a chance out here. It's just sad, but it's true. The white dudes treated like the black man treated in society in prison.
Right.
They don't stand a chance. You gonna have a few that's gonna stand out. It's just gonna be like, I ain't going for nothing, and you gonna have to give it to me because I'm gonna give it to you.
Right.
But they gonna be so few.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna really, and it definitely won't none that I ever been around on any prison where even them few clicked up.
Right.
They was always solo dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might know this white dude right here, JoJo, he go hard. Or this white dude right here, Timmy, he go hard. It's like that. it wasn't like, oh, it's a whole group of them. Nah, they even tried to recently, because when they started all of this big prisons, they started in there, what they call level 6s, the Red Onions, the Wallace Ridges, and the Kima, where they shooting you at Sussex 2 and all this. They shooting you and got dogs and stuff. They call them Supermax to stop the violence that was going on in Virginia. They built these Supermax so when you get out of hand, they had, you know, more resources to deal with you. They gonna shoot you. You know what I'm saying? They gonna put the dog on you. They got this belt they put around you that shock your kidneys and all of this crazy stuff that they was trying to slow down on the violence. Now, once they created that, then you had dudes stepping up now because they know the dudes is more thinking like they ain't trying to be as violent. So then you got little groups trying to rise up. I forgot what they was called. Like, it's something, man, I might say it wrong, but people probably know what I'm talking about. It's called Acid Truce or something like that. They created their own religion. But all in all, they white supremacists, right? So they start trying to click up and have little groups on compound like that. When the majority of my bit, 99.9% of my bit, they was just too afraid to even think about clicking up like that, because if the dudes found out, oh man, these white dudes racist, or they white supremacists, man, they're savage.